would you describe a godly woman? What words come to mind?
I would say bold, like someone who's not worried what other people think about them, just someone who's like willing to put themselves out there and like step out boldly in their faith.
I would say compassionate, one who not only like loves herself and knows her worth, but also loves everyone else around her and demonstrates God's love through her actions and through her words.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Love everybody, treat everyone the same.
I would say fearless, because I know like a lot of people get scared to like go up to other people and like spread God's word and stuff like that. But you would have to be fearless and like bold, how you said.
Yeah, I would say like courageous too. Just you have like the courage to go and talk to people or just share the gospel.
What are some examples of women in the Bible who stepped out to serve God?
I would say Mary, probably because she had to trust God in his plan.
I think for me, the first woman that comes to mind is Esther, because she was, like we said, she was a bold woman in her faith, and she was trusting in God, and she saved not only all of her people, but she saved her religion, and she demonstrated God's love, like I said, through her actions and through trusting him.
I would definitely say Ruth, because like Esther, she also put away like her own needs, and she was willing to stay with Naomi and like take care of her even if she didn't have a chance of like meeting another husband. So she put her mother-in-law ahead, and she also like slept at Boaz's feet like humbly, and she came before him. And I just think that was like really brave thing to do.
I would probably say Sarah. I know we probably don't think of her that much, but she was older and she wanted a kid, and she said basically that if God gave her a child, that she would make sure that he was with God the whole time, and that he would pursue like whatever God had for him in his life. So.
What are some of the pressures for young girls today?
Okay, so I would say the certain standards that we're held to, because I feel like sometimes we're held to like unrealistic standards, and we're held to physical standards and how everyone perceives us and like sees how we look and stuff like on social media, etc. And I feel like it's never the same behind doors. Like we're always gonna act differently, and I feel like people put a front, but we should like, as godly women, we should show how we are from like the inside out, and like not have to show a front and like have to fake it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Going off the standards thing, I think a lot of that has to do with social media. Like there's filters, Photoshop, different things. And like a lot of young girls looking at that, they have bad like self-worth, and they look for things in the world to kind of like satisfy themselves, but we'll never be satisfied if we live a life like that. So I feel like people just feel pressured to fit in.
Does that sound kind of cheesy, but do you guys know like the show Hole in the Wall? Like how you have to have like fit like perfectly in the hole.
Yeah.
I feel like society makes like a hole in the wall that we have to like perfectly fit into, and that if we don't, then like we lose, I guess, or we fall. Like if you go through perfectly, then you get fame, you like have success. But reality is like you can't be perfect enough to fit in the hole, if that makes sense. Like, but like with God, the whole like you literally can just walk through a doorway that anyone can fit through, instead of rather having like society making you go through like a certain way.
Yeah. Especially with like social medias like TikTok and like Instagram and stuff, like seeing how the style is, and like everyone expects you to have that style and like dress like that and like look exactly how they look.
Also, another big thing is like you said, social media, look wise, but also like to have that perfect relationship. Like if you don't have that perfect boyfriend, you don't have that perfect girlfriend, like you don't belong in society, you're not a part of the group, and like you're missing out. But I think it's like good to remember that like God should be all that we need, and we don't need to like hold ourselves up to the world standards, but we need to hold ourselves up to God's standards.
Along with friend groups, if you're not in the specific group that is like accepted, then you get pushed out. Like, yeah, exactly. I feel like people look for validation in the world, and you're just not gonna find anything that's gonna completely fulfill you. And it's hard, but like the only place that you're ever gonna be fulfilled is like in God. And so the fact that other people go off of worldly things is like a big issue.
I feel like we also get judged for what we like. Like, if somebody likes to play like football or basketball, is like a guy's sport or whatever, and like they get just bashed on and like totally like even like video games. Like people are like, "Why are you playing?" And I'm like, "Well, like it's fun, you know. Like you have fun doing this stuff, but we just
fit into the standards,
Yeah.
the normal standards. How do you personally prioritize your commitment to God?
I would say podcasts, like Sadie Robertson. Like, whoa, that's a good podcast. Yeah. Yeah, I do definitely listen to podcasts a lot. Like, just like doing the dishes, doing my chores or whatever, like just the podcast in my ear, just playing.
Yeah, I would agree with podcasts. I listen to them like on the way to softball practice or on the way to like even church, just so I have like a little bit of like a devotional, I guess is what you'd say.
Yeah.
Or like even just making sure like you're praying. Like I pray every night. I pray whenever I have the chance in my car or like, you know, so things like that.
Yeah, every night I pray before I go to sleep, and then I pray with my parents. Like we all gather around a family, and then we'll do our devotion, and then we'll like pray as a family. But then like after, when I'm in like my own room, every night I'll pray like my own prayers, you know, like personally.
Yeah, kind of same thing for me. Like, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I do a devotion on my phone. I kind of pray, like, thank you for this new day. And then throughout the day, I kind of just pray, like, oh, if I have, like, a biology test, I'll freak out. Like, it's okay. I just lift up my burdens to God. And then before I go to bed, too, I pray and I, like, write down in a little prayer journal and I read my Bible. So just, like, throughout the entire day, putting God's needs before yours.
I feel like you could also even like I think the biggest thing for me is like setting aside, you know, that time. If it's to listen to a podcast, if it's to do a devotional, if it's to pray, but just like having that set time with God. Because I know for me, it's much easier for me to do something if it's in my routine rather than, you know, just, oh, I have time here, I'll do it. Yeah. So just like setting that time aside for God so your relationship can continue to grow and you go into the day with the right mindset, I think is huge.
So what is one thing you wish guys knew that girls struggle with?